Any academic work needs a theoretical foundation on which it can be built. In this lecture, we are going to investigate what a theory is and how it relates to research. After completing this section, you should be able to explain the meaning of the term theory, discuss the nature of and relationship between the building blocks of a theory, distinguish between conceptual and operational definitions, distinguish between dependent, independent, moderating, intervening, extraneous, and control variables, explain why references, data, lists of variables, diagrams, and hypotheses on their own do not constitute a theory. Discuss the characteristics of good theories. Explain the process through which theories are developed, tested, and refined. Explain the difference between deduction and induction. Theories are used to explain the world around us. Even for everyday occurrences, we develop proposed theories. The same happens in research. The examples on the slide all attempt to explain situations and predict future outcomes. Sometimes it even predicts the expected direction of a relationship. In academic research, we most often try to find explanations for phenomena in existing theories, which we then test through empirical methods. Theories are used in academic research to try and explain why a problem exists or what the expected answer to the problem may be. It gives guidelines as to expected rules of behavior and helps us to organize, describe, explain, predict, and control our research. It's unlikely that only one theory will apply to a master's study. There may be a collection of theories to explain a complex situation. Theories are important in academic research as they provide structure to help us explain, describe, and predict phenomena. It also assists in controlling our empirical research to guide us to certain outcomes. When we investigate a research problem, we use theoretical statements to try to get theoretical explanations for the problem. We also use theory to establish which variables we need to observe and what we think the relationship between the variables will be. A theory, therefore, answers what we think explains our problem, how the concepts of theoretical foundations are related to our research problem, why they are related as we propose they are, and who, where, and when refer to the boundaries we set to the problem and our investigation. Our concepts of things are related to how we would explain things. Think, for example, how you would explain the concept of a cat with words alone to someone who has never seen any animal from the feline species. When researchers deal with unfamiliar concepts, they create their constructs by borrowing the label from another field of study, creating new meaning to an existing label or creating an entirely new label. To remember the difference, a construct is something that cannot be measured or observed directly. The researcher has to perform research to find out if a construct holds. When researchers work with new constructs, there may be no existing definitions. Researchers can develop their own definitions, but they need to be clear, understandable, unique, and consistent with similar definitions in the field of research. Other rules relating to it, not using vague terminology, not predicting a direction for a relationship, and so forth apply. Remember that concepts and constructs are parts of a theory and are defined separately. A construct should not predict a particular relationship or relationship direction, but a theory can. Correlational relationships are often investigated in the economic and management sciences, where one concept or construct effects are simply related to another in a negative, positive, linear, curvilinear, or power relationship. For example, we expect a positive relationship between the level of education and buying power. Causal relationships are more complex, as it is risky to say a single or a few variables cause something to happen instead of only being related to it. Students must make sure that the relationships they investigate are causal and not only mere relationships. For example, one can surely find a relationship between directors' remuneration and financial performance. But does directors' remuneration cause financial performance? It may be a contributing factor, but will not necessarily be the only cause for it. When one can separate the phenomenon being investigated through cause or correlation into, for example, gender, the relationship between education and buying power can be investigated separately for the two groups. At this stage, you may be thinking about your topic and the possible relationship that you expect to exist between constructs that you will define. You may be concerned that your ultimate empirical results give a different picture to what you expect. Do not worry about this. It is the nature of research to have some uncertainty. You may even find that there is no relationship between the constructs that you define. This is also important research, to know where a theory predicts a relationship between constructs according to logic, but where this is not the case. As long as everything is carefully defined and thought out, your research contributes. Researchers make certain assumptions about the theories they use. These do not have to be proven, but must be stated clearly. A single theory cannot explain all phenomena. Therefore, researchers create spatial boundaries within which the theory and its assumptions apply. For example, expecting a theory to only apply to a certain type of individual, such as a student. The level of abstraction of a theory refers to the extent to which a theory is driven by ideas rather than facts. There are specified levels of abstraction. Meta-theory is the most abstract and relates mostly to knowledge or thought products. Grand theory is the broadest form of theory to give overall explanations for phenomena and cannot be tested since one cannot test for all populations and all situations at the same time. Middle range theory is used to guide empirical investigations as it can be tested through its having boundaries where it is supposed to be an applicable theory, e.g. for a certain group. Empirical generalizations are a narrow, general view of a phenomenon and are not recommended for use to explain something. I realize that a discussion about theory and theoretical concepts can be rather abstract and hard to understand. Do not concern yourself too much about the various definitions at this stage. Just know that your study will involve theory and proposition building and that theories can have different levels of abstraction. As you continue on the postgraduate journey, you will automatically apply these principles without even knowing it. For a postgraduate committee to establish whether your research project is feasible, not only in terms of whether it can be accomplished, but also whether it can be accomplished in a reasonable time, you will have to elaborate on how all aspects of the constructs will be measured or observed. These measurable indicators are called variables. Even though other parts of your research proposal are important, such as the literature review, it is not as important as the contribution your study will make and the measurable variables you will use. Postgraduate committees want to see what you expect the outcome of your study will be and how you are going to measure and analyze to test the expectation. For that, the propositions of your theoretical foundation need to be translated into testable hypotheses. The variables of an empirical study are classified as 1. Dependent or 2. Independent variables, 3. Moderating, 4. Mediating or 5. Extraneous variables, 6. Control variables. The most important variables are firstly the y, dependent, and x, independent variables. Moderating variables are those that affect the direction or strength of the relationship between x and y. Mediating variables are those that come between the x and y variables in a causal relationship to relay the relationship from x to y. Control variables are those that can affect the relationship and are thus included to control for its influence. Extraneous variables are not controlled for, but can influence the relationship between x and y and cause spurious relationships. These are some of the characteristics that a postgraduate committee will consider when they consider your proposed research. These characteristics mostly relate to the extent to which your study can be conducted and completed within a reasonable time. Even though a coursework master's degree does not have the requirement of making a unique contribution, we are going to look at the types of contributions that a postgraduate student can make. Conceptual contributions relate to generating new theories or adaptations to current theories. The word conceptual indicates that it will not necessarily be tested empirically. Research in economic and management sciences often makes an empirical contribution. If your research makes a unique contribution, this is the most likely type of contribution you will be making. Empirical contributions happen when a theory is tested with other variables in other contexts, etc., to strengthen what we know about the theory and its generalizability. However, it is also possible to make a conceptual contribution that is tested empirically for an added empirical contribution. When a study tests new methods to do empirical analyses, it delivers a methodological contribution. it is also possible to contribute both empirically and methodologically.